Okay, gang, welcome for my search for a Shaquille O'Neal rookie card out of a wax pack. I believe this is 32 cards in all, and this is the 1992 Classic Jumbo cards. And what inspired me to open this was from the Jabs family, which I'm sure a lot of you on YouTube watch. They're pretty popular. They open, this guy on the Jabs family, he opens up these vintage cards, cases and sets back from 20, 30 years ago. You know, the 70s, the 80s, even up to today. And it's really fun to watch, and he really inspired me to open this up. Now, I purchased this back when it was manufactured and released in 1992. This was when Shaquille O'Neal was coming out of college from LSU to enter into the NBA draft. And of course, he was drafted by the Orlando Magic, and later followed with Penny Hardaway. And he took him to the championship, I believe, a couple of times, but didn't win. So I remember buying this in 1992. I took my whole paycheck from Little Caesars Pizza. It was my whole paycheck. It was like $60 back then, which was a lot more money then than it is now. And I bought this. I was like, oh my God, you know, because I was watching Shaq on, you know, from LSU, and I thought, man, this guy is so awesome. So we're looking for Shaquille O'Neal in this, and the other rookies, they got Jackson. They also got Alonzo Mourning in here. And so let's go ahead and open her up. And I'm not sure how to open this the best way. All right, 1992. I'm opening this. This is the year 2020. Been a crazy year, as you all know. And 1992, I was 17 years old, in high school, working at Little Caesars Pizza. I did everything. Delivered pizza, made pizza, got dough, washed dishes, pans, and that Little Caesars is still up to this day, same location. My favorite was always the Crazy Bread. And I remember eating pepperoni back then. You know, the raw pepperoni that they'd come in these gigantic boxes. And I remember just eating them, literally like 10 or 15 of them at a time. And I love pepperoni, and I ate so much I literally stopped eating pepperoni. To this day, I won't put pepperoni on my pizza. I usually do bacon and pineapple. All right, so we're looking for Shaquille O'Neal. We're looking for Alonzo Mourning. It's really the two most, you know, cards that's worth the most. And then there's Christian Laettner. So it says Classics, 16 cards, includes one foil stamped bonus card. Okay. Wow, these are kind of tight. Alrighty. Brian Davis. These are actually kind of tight. Brian Davis. Clarence Witherspoon. I don't like how these are sticking together. Malik Sealy, Matt Geiger. I remember him. Nick Gilmore, Herb Jones, Ed Book, Craig Upchurch, Sean Miller. I'm going to try to go through these kind of quick. Ken Leaks, Eric Sullivan, and a lot of these, Brian Davis, a lot of these are really no names. Walt Williams is probably the best one so far. So one down. I'll go through these quick. Okay. There's a checklist. Dikembe Mutombo, 91 flashback. That's okay. Billy Owens. Steve Smith. Vernon Singleton. Christian Laettner. Yay. That's probably the most valuable one we got so far. Looks like there's a little blemish there. Christian Laettner from Duke. I think he won MVP in the NCAA or the best player like in 91, 92 for Duke, and they won the national championship. Laettner, he played a good 10 years, with in the NBA. I think he started out with the Timberwolves, and then he went and he played for the Olympics, the United States Olympics, with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and Bird and Magic in '92 for the U.S. Olympics. And there was a debate back then because they thought Shaquille Oneal should have been on the team, and I agree that he should have. And they chose Laettner over Shaquille Oneal to be in the Olympics in '92. And a lot of people couldn't figure out why. Some people thought, well, he's from Duke, and he's a pretty boy from Duke, and I think that I don't know, for views, I thought that they think that they would have got better views with Laettner than Shaquille Oneal, shockingly, right? I had a debate with a friend from high school at the time that Oneal was being drafted, and he swore up and down that Laettner was the better player, the better center. And I was like, you're joking, right? And he really thought that Laettner was a better player. And 25 years later, 28 years later, who's right? Shaquille up and down, right? Sean Rooks, Robert, Alonzo Mourning, yay! That's a good one. So one touch that one. Alonzo had a really good career. Started out with the Hornets with Larry Johnson, and he ended with some championships with the Miami Heat. And he had a pretty good career as well. And he's like one of the only players that actually had an organ transplant while he was playing and continued to play afterwards. As y'all may know, he had like kidney disease from some kind of, I don't know if it was a genetic disorder or what, but he had a good friend, I believe it was, or a cousin or an uncle or a family member who donated their kidney to him. And Alonzo was able to continue to play. As far as Christian Laettner, now what's interesting about my comments I just made about Laettner and Shaquille O'Neal, comparing them to Shaquille O'Neal. True, Shaquille O'Neal was the superior athlete and had the better career than than Laettner. Had NBA championships and all these MVPs and whatever. But with that said, if we really boil down to it, Laettner is one of the greatest NBA players that's ever lived of all time. And you say, what? What are you talking about? No, Michael Jordan is, Larry Bird. Yeah, of course they are. Of course they are. But when you consider all the NBA players that's ever played in the history of time, he's like one of like 1.000000001% of all basketball players that ever make it to the pros. And then he's a 0.0001% that made it 10 years. The man lasted a decade in the most competitive sport in history. It's like getting struck by lightning just to make it. Ooh, look at there, Shaquille O'Neal. All right, that's what we're looking for, guys. Shaquille O'Neal rookie card, LSU. That looks like a pretty good condition. Now all these are sticking and they're a little bit bent. But that shouldn't take away in the value. Looks like it's really, really well centered. And so one touch that one. All right, Shaquille O'Neal. In this set, or in these wax boxes, there's a rare edition of signed Shaquille O'Neal cards. I think there's 2 lots. There's one of 2,500 that he signed with like a silver filt pin, and what he put on there is like 1 out of 2,500, 2 out of 2,500, and he signed the card. So there's 2,500 of them out there, and I'm assuming I have a chance to get one of those. And then there's another that's more rare. That's 1 in 500, that's even more rare. I've seen that one. There's like one up on eBay for like 100,000. I think that's a little bit ridiculous, but those are worth more than 1 in 500. And the 1 in 2,500 I see as low. You can buy with his signature, his real signature. I see those as low as 300 and as high as like 1,000 that they sold for. And those the one that were 1,000 were graded by PSA. They sent it off to get graded, which is like I think like 10 or 15 bucks to get graded card, and they sent it back with like a little plaque. All right, Brian Houston. So we got one Shaquille O'Neal. So we'll get another Shaquille O'Neal. Ron Popeye Jones. I remember him. Tim McCoy. Damon Peterson. I do not like how these are sticking together like that. Doug Christie. Pretty popular. P.J. Brown. Isaiah Morse, Stephen Howard, Latrell Sprewell. That's a kind of a popular one. Latrell, Robert Henry. I think the Latrell might go for a couple bucks on eBay, including shipping. So these individual pack prices were like $2, which makes sense. 2 times 32 would be about what I paid, $62 in 1992. Yeah, when this came out, I thought, oh man, I gotta get this because it had Shaquille O'Neal in it. I had when he started playing with the Magic, I had a big old Shaquille O'Neal poster in my bedroom. Tell you what, when he came in, he was so dominant. It was really hard to stop him. And back in '92, if you're old enough to remember, that was the era that centers dominated. We're talking, 7-footers. Shaquille, Hakeem Olajuwon. Well, Hakeem was like 5'10". Hakeem, Patrick Ewing, Ralph Sampson, Robert Parrish. Moses Malone, and of course earlier than that, Kareem, Wilt Chamberlain. These were dominant big men, and it was a perimeter game back then. I think I'm saying that right. And back then, it was much slower pace, and they rotated the ball around to get to the center and post up down underneath. And as we know now, with the rule changes and everything, it's all fast-paced. It's all run and shoot. Which, honestly, I think it took away from the game some. I like fast-paced, but I enjoy good post-up basketball. And you think about it, out of the several, half a century or more of basketball, how many great big men have we seen? There's another Christian Laettner. How many great big men are there? You could count them like on maybe 4 hands, if that. like I mentioned before, Ewing and Kareem and Will. Let's don't forget Oscar Robinson, Bill Russell. Those are like the greatest, right, that it's ever played. But I wonder how those players would fare today in today's basketball. I know they'd still make it, especially in their younger years, because they could get up and down the court. But would they last as long as they did? Would they last as long as they did today? All right. Today. Anthony Peeler. Doug Christie. Another Doug Christie, folks. Come on, Shaquille. Only got one. Steve Rogers. Hey, Shaquille O'Neal, guys. There's another one. Shaquille O'Neal Rookie Card. Sweet. So I got, how many so far? 2 Shaquille's? Yeah, 2 Shaquille's so far. But back, I think I was talking about Laettner a little bit earlier. Laettner, just to make it to the NBA is like getting struck by lightning. So he's definitely one of the best players that's ever lived. Just like everybody else that's made it to the NBA, alright? Alright. So we're trying to roll through these pretty fast, guys. So where were you in 1992? Remember some big things going on? I remember there's a big hurricane that came through the down in Florida called Hurricane Andrew. And if you're not old enough to remember, ask your parents or your grandparents about it. That was one of the worst hurricanes that we've ever had. I think there's like 65 people died from it, and it crushed Miami. I mean, Miami was completely gutted from Hurricane Andrew. And then it went up through the Carolinas. It just caused havoc. Tore up Myrtle Beach. I think the Bulls won that year. I think that was either their second or first one in a row. I know they won 6 overall. Okay. So I sure would like to get one of those signed Shaquille O'Neal cards. Reggie Smith. Yeah, this one's stuck together, guys. I don't like that. And I've had it in room temperature location the whole time. It hasn't been in storage or outdoors any. It's been in room temperature. Harold Miner. Ron Smith. T.J. Brown. Isaiah Morse. Chris King. Tell you what, guys, for transparency or just for speediness, I want to fast forward this until I get to another Shaquille O'Neal. Alright, here we go. Look at these guys. These cards are sticking together. So if I do get a Shaquille O'Neal, it's ruined because the paint's fading here. I don't know if you guys remember Oliver Miller. He played for the. I know he played for the Phoenix Suns, but I remember this guy had a really difficult time in the NBA at the later years. Like it shows his weight at 290 at 6'9", which is kind of big. You can tell he's a little bit portly, right? But later in his career, at the end, I think he got up to like 350 or 360, and he couldn't lose weight. And I remember it was the Pacers. I think it was the Pacers. When Miller came, I think he had like 0, if I'm not mistaken, 0 or 00 as his number. And I remember when he went to the Pacers, he was worth the Suns, I believe. And the mascot was like making fun of him because he would wear like this he'd wear this headband. And the mascot, like, dressed up to be really big, right? Probably padded up his costume and had the headband and put 0 on it. It was like just rolling around like he was struggling to get down the court.
Did a overweight version of Oliver Miller skit where he padded his gorilla costume, you know, with a lot of padding, put on an Oliver Miller jersey.
Yeah, that's just not right there. That is just mean-spirited.
And I remember Oliver Miller's parents were really upset about that. I remember hearing that on the news. It's interesting, right? This is interesting. This one they have magician on that one. I don't know why, because the other ones didn't say magician. I'll put that to the side. Oh, Robert Horry. Boy, he was an outstanding player. Robert Horry, I'm telling you, he won some championships. I think he's like one of the top 5 or 7 players of all time that's won the most NBA championships. He won them with the Houston Rockets, the Spurs, the Rockets, the Spurs. Oh, help me. 2 or 3 other teams. But he won Kings, I think. But that man has won some championships. That might be worth something. There's a sticking problem again. Which completely ruins the cards. As you guys know, if your cards aren't mint, ooh, look at that. Another Shaquille O'Neal. There's another, guys. Another Shaquille O'Neal rookie. Good shape. I forgot how many that is. 5 or 6 Shaquilles. We'll count them at the end. There's another Christian Laettner. But see, look there. See, you know, the thing about it is I thought about putting this up for sale on eBay. And to be fair, it probably would sell. I saw wax packs sell for about the low end $30, which would include your shipping. High end was $60. But as we see here, this sticking like this, you know, if the buyer decided to open them and it started sticking like that, I wouldn't be happy. I'd probably either want a partial refund or want to return it, you know, and then I would get a whole bunch of open packs anyway, you know, so. How many of these who were drafted even set foot on the NBA floor? I'd say it's probably less than half. You know, they might have they were drafted, went through training camp, maybe sent to the minors, and then maybe had to go play pro overseas or in Canada, and they didn't even set foot on an NBA court. Or they were like a 12th man or a 11th man and was on the court but actually never played, right, in a real NBA game. Don't get me wrong, if you were 12th man in the NBA, that's a big deal. Even if you're 12th man, right? But all these players, you know, a lot of these I haven't heard of. John Barry, I think he was Rick Barry's son, if I'm not mistaken. Remember, Rick Barry would shoot his free throws underhanded. It's the only person I ever see do that. Alright, we only got 8 packs left. I'll probably go through these cards again later and just make sure Shaquille O'Neal didn't stick on the bottom of one of those. And then, to be honest with you, all these common cards I'll probably end up just taking them to Goodwill. I kind of hate taking them to Goodwill because someone will see them and they see 1992 and they get excited. But, you know, some kid might like them. You know, speaking of Shaquille O'Neal, he was a great player, right? I was a huge Laker fan in the 1980s. Me and my dad, my brother, we'd watch the Lakers play against the Celtics. And I loved the Lakers. I loved Magic. I loved Kareem, Worthy, Cooper, AC Green, Byron Scott. I love the fast break, the Showtime, LA Showtime. And huge fan. But after Kareem retired and then Magic, you know, was diagnosed, it was a really sad situation. Sad for me. And it just lost the spirit of basketball. I just lost my heart for it, you know. And I mean, I had everything. I had Lakers Converse shoes. I had the works, man. I was so excited to watch them play. I would make bets with my 5th grade English teacher. And he was a huge Celtic fan. I think he was from the Boston area. And I despised Larry Bird. I despised Danny Ainge. Wanted to punch him in the head. I think Ralph Sampson punched him once in the head. And I wanted to punch Danny Ainge in the head. But when Shaquille went to the Lakers and then later Kobe, I really wasn't excited because I really wasn't watching basketball back then. You know, I'd start tuning into the playoffs just like everybody else. But that was a great team with Shaquille and Kobe. And if they got along with each other, they could have won a lot more. I know one of the criticisms of Shaquille was that he was too heavy there at the end of his career. And I think he was over 300 pounds at the end of his career. And don't get me wrong, the man's 7'2". But still, especially as you get older, you know, and you're playing basketball going up and down the court, you know, I think Shaquille actually at the I think his last game, last year he actually played for the Celtics. And he didn't do bad at the end, but I don't know. As great as he was, you know, Hall of Famer, All-Star, he won with the Miami Heat as well. He could have been better and won more, I think, if he had taken it seriously. And I think that was one of Kobe Bryant's beefs with Shaquille, is Kobe was a perfectionist, you know, on and off the court. And I don't think that he thought Shaquille was taking it as seriously. And that's one reason why Shaquille went to Miami Heat, where he won a championship. That was kind of sweet for Shaquille, I think, to win away from Kobe. I always kind of wanted Shaquille to go back to the Magic, you know, and try to get them a championship, but it was never meant to be. And Shaquille had owned a home, you know, in the Orlando area all the way up until this year, I believe. I think it finally sold. Or maybe it's still on the market. If you guys are still watching, it's the 2020 NBA playoffs. How many of you guys are watching the playoffs this year? I'm not. I'm not watching the playoffs. Look here, another Shaquille, guys. Woohoo! It's pretty good shape. Yeah, I'm not watching. I am not watching them, the playoffs this year. It's not necessarily because of the political environment that's going on in 2020. Not necessarily because of that. Don't get me wrong, that kind of turns me off a little bit. But being that they had such a huge break regarding everything that's going on, and all the games postponed because of 2020 pandemic, I kind of don't. I feel like I'm getting cheated a little bit by watching them. Like they're kind of, not saying they're not taking it as serious, but it's not as serious because so many games were canceled. It just seems like an exhibition game, right? Kind of like it's fake or something. I don't know. Some people are getting upset by the BLM thing on the court. The BLM, which you know what that stands for. The reason I say BLM and not the full words, I don't want to get demonetized, right? But I could understand the sentiment behind it, and you know why it's important to bring up social issues, but it's kind of like, I don't know. If I wanted to be preached to, right, I'd go to church. Like, I'm not asking you to preach at me. I'm not asking you to preach at me. I'm not tuning in my TV to be preached at, right? So I feel like that it's kind of that kind of thing. Like, people have really gone through a hard time this year. Everybody's gone through a hard time. Not just youth and not just people, but elderly people have gone through so much. Children in high school. Look, another Shaquille O'Neal, guys. Children in high school that didn't get to go to the prom, who missed their friends, and they completely vanished off the face of the earth because they can't see each other. They can't go to amusement parks. They can't live their lives. People have lost their small businesses, their careers, their dreams. You know, and the one thing that you would think that we could all agree upon is sit back and watch a game. You know, sit back and watch a sports game, and let's don't get preached at. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of what's the thing that's turned off. Not saying that I don't disagree with the movement. I don't disagree with the sentiment behind it. It's very important for people not to get harmed, you know, when they're getting arrested, right? But I don't need to be preached at when I turn on the TV. And I think the same thing's going on with football. you're seeing lowering views in basketball, and look, another Shaquille. All the Shaquilles are in great shape. You guys notice that? Nice. Walt Williams. And they're hurting the sport by preaching at everybody. So that's just my 2 cents. Jimmy Jackson. Let's talk a little bit about this set now. This 1992 classic set. Or this wax box, rather. It's not a set. Classic only made cards, I think, from 92 to 96, or maybe 91 to 96. Anyways, they stopped printing in 96. And by this set, or by this wax, look, another Shaquille, guys. This box, really the only thing worth anything in it, honestly, is the Shaquille O'Neals. And then second would be maybe the Alonzo Mournings. But all these other cards, they're common cards, guys. I'm not impressed how they stick together whatsoever. I understand that it's a quarter of a century old, but I'm not happy about that. And these cards were printed at the end of the baseball card collecting bubble, the card collecting bubble. There was a bubble in card collecting in the early 90s, and it ended like around 92, right? Where everybody and their grandmother was collecting cards. Baseball, basketball, whatever. And so you had all these manufacturers printing something out. Topps, Fleer, Upper Deck, Leaf, everybody, Post. They were all, Post Serial, they were all printing cards, and Classic was just one of them. And they decided to do the draft picks. And Shaquille O'Neal had exclusivity to be one of the first person printed in, I think it was it 92? I think it was. 1992. He was the only one that had a contract to be printed. But he wasn't playing in the NBA that year. Right? So, he was just a draft pick. Don't get me wrong, a very important draft pick. But it wasn't that big of a deal that he had the only exclusive to be printed, because no other card company was printing them because he hadn't played a year of basketball yet. That's number one. And so that's how they marketed these. This is the only cards at the time that had Shaquille O'Neal on it. I agree. There's another Alonzo with a blemish. But I'm going to show you guys something here in a second. And this kind of proves my point. We were at a bubble, and so they manufactured these like crazy, like everything else in 1992. And there's just so many that flooded to the market. And let me ask you something. Do you think anybody threw away these Shaquille O'Neal cards? Do you think anybody threw those away? No. Everybody kept it in their closet. So every one manufactured is still in existence. So you got millions of them out there. So the first sign, if you're a collector, that this is a set that you wouldn't buy, even in 1992, is it says the name of a card that's in the set, Shaq. Let me ask you something. When Mickey Mantle was a rookie, decades ago, or Hank Aaron, or Reggie Jackson, or even Pete Rose, or Mike Schmidt, did they put it on the physical advertising box? Look, it's Pete Rose. It's Aaron. It's Reggie Jackson. They didn't say that. So it's like when you buy something that says it's an antique on it, on the label, that means it's not an antique. It's an advertisement, right? Just because they say it's... So for them to say Shaq on the package itself shows you it's already a marketing flop. They're already trying to market you something that they know is going to be valuable. Well, no, it wasn't valuable because everybody bought them and they overprinted them. It was from a cheap baseball card company, Classic, or card making company. They did draft picks. Everything else in here is not worth anything. And I did look up these on eBay. Now let me go ahead and open up this last one before I start ending this video. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Shaqs. And to be honest with you, these are all good shape. If you were to PSA 10 these, which I guarantee you, maybe one would come back PSA 10. The rest would probably be 9 or 8 or 7. But there's thousands in circulation. It might be worth $20, but then you'd have to pay, like I said, $10 to ship it out and get it graded, right? So I'll probably put these on eBay, most likely, and ask $10 a piece for them, and they'll probably end up selling for like $5 a piece. Or I might just sell them all in one lot. These, even though Christian Laettner played a lot of years, he's not a Hall of Famer. Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That one's damaged. So 9. You know, you might get a couple of bucks for that. These, I think, Robert Horry, I think, is worth more than all. I mean, the second highest graded should be the second highest worth, because he's definitely a Hall of Fame great. And Alonzo Mourning's a good player, but again, I'd probably get like $2 or $3 a piece for these, if that. All these others, garbage. Goodwill, actually. For everybody that's collecting cards, I'd seriously encourage you to focus on older cards pre-1980. You know, you'd be better to buy a mint Robert Parrish or a Moses Malone rookie card, or you know, an Oscar Robertson rookie card, than to spend thousands of dollars on new stuff. That's just my opinion. And I would focus, if I were you, I would focus on the oldies. All right, thanks for tuning into my video, and make sure you subscribe to my channel. All right, bye.